Okay. Overall evaluation of the instrument. The soundboard and the bridge are both in good shape. There is fatigue in some of the pin block. Obviously, I didn't move all the pins, but I moved enough of them to get an idea of how much leeway we have. Of all of the major components, if you have issues, pin block's the one you want to have. Same as we did on the grand piano, that super thin super glue is incredibly effective. It is not time consuming, it is not expensive. However, it is a little smelly. So maybe we open the window if it's bothering anyone. We are at least two tunings away from stability, just based on the incredible change in down bearing from being this far out of tune. This piano probably, actually, we can tell. Looks like the last tuning was 1995, maybe? Or is that, I don't know, oh, February of '03. Okay, so we're decades out of tune, and there's no way to quickly make up that lost ground. You have to tune a piano once a year in order for it to tread water as far as the tension is concerned. Otherwise, you end up in a position like this where it just won't hold after one go through. Let me talk with my hands here. See if that's going to stay there. So similar to the discussion on the soundboard for the grand, we've got a crown on an upright. The belly, the soundboard's pushing out like a belly, and we're going to look at it like this just so it's easier to see on the video. But the piano is designed to be at a very specific curvature. That soundboard wants to ring like a speaker. And it's designed to be at that specific curvature under the appropriate down-bearing force of the wire. This piano hasn't been tuned in a really long time. The down-bearing force is insufficient, and the crown of the soundboard is sitting in a really exaggerated posture. And then as I tune, I'll be increasing the down-bearing across the dome of that board, and this will happen. And there's no way to fast forward it. We put a tuning on it, we wait 3 weeks. You can play it, but you'll hear it drifting and floating, and with this piano, it is such a significant tension change. We put a tuning on, wait 3 weeks, put another tuning on, wait 3 weeks, and listen to it. At that point, depending on how she sounds, we may want to back off and just give her a little more time, because it's pretty intense for a piano to go through that much change. We'll be ripping off band-aids. So risks of breaking wire are not insignificant. The objective of the first tuning will be to get to tension without breaking any wires. And there is kind of this eggshell feeling that you can interpret while you're tuning, that may lead us to being a little wider or more forgiving in those single wound bass wires, just because we don't want to break any wires. And they do reach a better elastic limit over time. You can work them a little better if you're not trying to force it all at once. And then again, I haven't tuned every pin, so I can't be certain about whether I'd need to use a piano tilter in order to really well apply the CA glue to the tuning pins. But I have some really small applicators that I would use. Anything less than a dozen of the pins, I think we're fine standing on four wheels. And I won't know really until we tune. And it'll be the same thing as the grand, where we tune it and I mark some with chalk, and then we come back later and treat those as need be. But a really nice cleaning would help for sure. That's the culprit of this sticking key, is just detritus under the key, and it will bribe the piano to behave as well if we give it a nice cleaning. So I think there's between $400 and $500 worth of work to do here. Of that, really 320 of that would just be the two tunings, which would want to be considered normal maintenance that hasn't been maintained on this piano. So it's hard to count that as this repair investment. Obviously, it's part of the total, but that means that we'd be looking at, putting in $100, maybe $200 of extra investment into the piano, and that's going to be for cleaning and for getting this pin block where we want it. So overall, I don't think that's too bad, but obviously we got to decide what the cost benefit is for you. It does have to be at A440. I mean, the most subtle thing we are training is the ear. So we really do want it to be up at A440. All right, tons of information. Let me know if you have any questions or concerns.